Guys, if you don't know who Chamath is, learn about this man. Very articulate billionaire for the people, running for California governor. I wish I lived in California. Well, not really. Not really.
Momentum in traditional hedge funds and how they move stocks as well. But it's really disparaging if the starting position is these guys can't do the same quality of research as an analyst in a fund. That's just not true.
I didn't say that. I didn't say they can't.
Yeah, they think we're idiots.
I'm questioning whether they're actually doing the research when it comes to things like GameStop and AMC and some of these other things.
There's a distribution. And obviously at one end, there are fundamental analysts. But on the other end, there are momentum traders that follow trends. But by the way, the dirty little secret of Wall Street is that exists in hedge fund land. The reason why this GameStop trade has caused so much pain is because at the top of the pecking order was Melvin Capital. Those guys were incredible stock pickers. They are incredible fundamental modelers of companies. Okay, Gabe Plotkin is one of the sort of giants of our era, of my era, right? But at the end of the day, what happens is, irrespective of what he puts on, his trades are mimicked and copied by umpteen other hedge funds that follow along. Mm-hmm. For every LP that can't get into Melvin, they get into a copycat fund that works basically like Melvin. And so when the trade goes against him, then it goes against all these people all at the same time. So the reality is there are fundamental momentum investors in the market that are organized capital, i.e. hedge funds, and disorganized, loosely affiliated capital, i.e. Wall Street bets. And I think what you're seeing is the push and pull of that, and the realization should be that if every person was forced to publish their fundamental research, it would be hard to distinguish the best version of research from Wall Street bets and the best version of research from a hedge fund. They don't have an edge. And this is what you're exposing, is that edge is gone. And now all of a sudden, retail can be on the same footing, and they don't have to be the bag holder to Wall Street.
But let me ask you this. But somebody from retail is going to eventually be to use your words, bag holder in this situation. Are they not? And do you think it's responsible for you and some other big names who tweeted about it yesterday and to get involved yourself, knowing that you guys are considered the Pied Pipers, that people are going to follow you into these trades, and someone is ultimately going to get hurt after you and others are long gone, Chamath?
Dude, where was that message in 2008, Scott?
Where was that message? That's right.
Let's look at Tesla.
I love Chamath.
Who was right on Tesla? I'll tell you who was right. Every single retail investor.
Yes.
I was right. Elon Musk was right. Let me tell you who was wrong. Every single hedge fund. Name after name when it comes to innovation, when it comes to growth, when it comes to people trying to do fundamentally useful things in the world. If it doesn't fit into the mold that Wall Street wants, they try to organize against it. And there has been pushback after pushback after pushback in individual names. And this is yet another form of pushback. Mm-hmm. And all I'm trying to say is the mechanics of how Wall Street has worked. And again, I wish you would ask this detailed question. Why is it allowed for somebody running a hedge fund to basically claim that they are market neutral, but be levered up? They take a $10 billion fund, and their prime brokers allow them to run $100 billion of notional experience. Notional exposure.
Thank you.
Who thinks that that's fair? It's not fair to the retail investor. Because when that blows up and a $100 billion hole exists in a fund, which, by the way, this is exactly what happened in 2008, the government bails them out. Who is the government?
Yeah.
All of us.
All of us.
So, retail has been the bag holder before. Retail hasn't caused these things before. Hedge funds have caused these things before. So if you're going to talk about taking the gun away from the baby, let's make sure we figure out who the baby is.
Yeah, but do you think that you helped fan the flames and others
Fuck you, Scott.
like you,
Fuck
whether
you.
it's one of the Winklevi brothers tweeting about it, Elon Musk tweeting about it, that it's ultimately driving this stock up well beyond what the fundamentals say that it should be. I mean, I don't think you think, and you tell me, you think that GameStop is worth $350 a share?
You don't get the fucking point, do
you?
What
I can tell you is that
you don't get the point.
When I put that position on, $125,000 position, I used it to acquire knowledge and learning. And what I was trying to figure out is how these positions move in the modern trading era. And what I can tell you is, up until that point, the setup made no mathematical sense. How do you be short 140% of a company's shares?
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't retail.
Where's the regulator?
Maybe that's a question for regulators.
Where are the regulators?
The way that's allowed to happen needs to be.
Where are the regulators?
But
you want to come for us?
I'll tell you how it's allowed to happen. It's allowed to happen so that hedge funds can charge 2 and 20 to their limited partners.
Boom!
Independent of consequences.
Woo,
I'll tell you another way
right
that's allowed to
uppercut.
happen.
Bah!
Hedge funds are allowed to take their money, go to a prime broker, and all of a sudden get 10x multiplication on that money.
Yep.
That's the problem.
Oh.
You have trillions of dollars of notional being traded by these organizations.
Game!
You have maybe billions of dollars being traded by retail.
I want to get back to the issue at hand, which I don't feel like you answered the question.
He answered it.
This idea of somebody's going to get hurt. You sound like you're an advocate for the little guy, so to speak, right? But yet, by getting involved, why did you get involved in the first place? I mean, you said that to get information. I mean, you wanted to make money on the trade. Come on, right?
That's not true.
Money.
Yo.
To move the needle, I need to strap on hundreds of millions of dollars.
Don't put words in.
So I wanted to learn. Why did I want to learn? When I saw that article in the Wall Street Journal, I had no idea about Melvin Capital, really. I had no idea about Wall Street Bets, really. I had no idea about GameStop, except that it had been mentioned to me in a couple of tweets throughout the year. So I tweeted out after I read the article, hey, folks, tell me an interesting trade that I can put on tomorrow for a few $100K so I can learn, basically. That tweet got 10 million impressions and 13,000 comments. And when I went through there, a lot of people pointed to GameStop and pointed to Wall Street Bets. And when I went in there and started to look around, what I thought is, my God, here is a dynamic about trading, about momentum, about stocks, about short interest, about gamma squeezes. These are not things that I know a lot about, and so I put in a small position to learn. And what I learned
That's a small position.
is that people can do
125,000.
fundamental research
I love
come to
it.
a point of view that's
It's like
diametrically
a
opposed
penny
to
farm.
organized capital, and they can be right.
100th of a
And
penny.
I'm allowed to be on the right side of that. You know, it's not my job to go and defend a bunch of, highly compensated hedge fund managers against losses.
Mm-hmm.
And just the fact that for
Fuck
one
the hedge
time,
funds.
those folks lost,
AMC.
we can bellyache and cry on national television. To me, is
keep
a
going
joke.
up. That's right. Keep going up.
I mean, I don't
There's
think
a lot of
Up,
kids.
up,
Hold
up,
on a
up.
second. There's a lot of kids and a lot of people on Wall Street Bets who have made money to pay off their mortgage. I read about a post yesterday of a kid that was able to pay off his entire student loans and post.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Good
progress.
for him.
I'm not
Good for
suggesting,
you.
and I'm not trying to come off that way, that I'm suggesting what's happened on Wall Street Bets or what this cohort of traders is doing is wrong.
It's not wrong.
I don't think that there's
It's
much
not
of a
wrong.
difference from, and I know it's been mentioned on this network already today, but the first thing I thought of in this situation was back to the Herbalife episode, where you had a fairly sizable group of well-known hedge fund managers decide to take the other side of Bill Ackman's trade. He was, of course, short. They all went long. They made a fundamental case in their own mind, and whatever worked for them to have the conviction that they did to take that trade.
Where was the regulators?
Part of it was undoubtedly trying to hurt the short, who was Bill Ackman at that time. Maybe some of them did it through going to an idea dinner or whatever other forum, through personal phone calls or emails.
And that's legal.
And there was a large group of people on one side of the trade. I don't think it's any different. I don't think it's any different.
You just said it's not different. You're right. Idea dinners. That concept has existed for decades. On
Are you listening to the vocabulary? Idea dinners
behind closed doors and usher around names of companies, and they coalesce and decide to cooperate together. The guys on Wall Street Bets just do it in the public completely transparently.
Yeah.
In my opinion, that takes a lot more courage.
Yes.
Because you could actually be wrong. Somebody can actually say, hey, listen, what you said made completely no sense whatsoever. And so what is the difference? In my opinion, this is the modern-day instantiation of that dynamic, just writ large and at scale.
The only thing I'm concerned about is that there are inevitably going to be people who get hurt. I'm not talking about hedge fund managers.
You don't give a fuck about the little people, Scott.
I'm talking about the people who fuck people into the trade.
Stop
who
it.
Think that this stock is going to continue.
You don't
to
give
go
a
up
fuck about
because
the little
that's what they've been
people.
conditioned to think in the pandemic.
What should we do?
Y'all don't give a fuck about the
apparently.
little people.
What should we do? Not allow
Yeah.
folks. Here's what will happen if you follow your logic, then you'll say, you know what? Retail doesn't know what they're doing. I think you're wrong.
Yes.
then the thing will be retail shouldn't be allowed to participate in the stock market. I think you're wrong. And then you know what will happen, Scott? The inequality gap will grow and grow and grow. Because then what are they supposed to do then? Buy an ETF, a passive fund? They can't buy into hedge funds because the rules don't allow them to. So now, systematically, what you've done is you entrench poverty.
No, I mean, that's taking it too far. This is just accentuating those thoughts that Wall Street's a casino and nothing more. That's what this is perpetuating.
I don't think so. I think this is an example of if you are going to so massively oversell a company to the extent that you're selling 40 more shares of that company that don't exist, and all of a sudden other folks are like, hey, wait a minute, this is going to get squeezed, and they buy it. That's just a smart trade. Retail saw it. Wall Street missed it, and they paid the price.
Heavy.
So maybe to your point, what regulators should do is say, hey, wait a minute, how can we allow companies to be 140% short? That doesn't make any sense.
Thank you.
Maybe that's what should happen.
Mm-hmm.
You think this overall situation is fine for the market? I'm also curious as to, look, you have taken companies public through SPACs at a rate that others have not.
You're relying
on the integrity of the stock market itself to be able to do what you do and be successful.
He's attacking you. He's attacking you.
You don't think what we're witnessing now calls into question the integrity of the stock market? That a lot of
the best man for this interview,
with seemingly no fundamental story behind them to this degree,
like Wall Street
can see their stocks rise in this magnitude, and all of that is just fine. That there's nothing wrong with the integrity of the system if that is occurring.
The lack of integrity in the system is the precursor that caused GameStop to be sold short 136%, and for people to try to pile on and destroy a company in front of our eyes. That to me feels wrong. That feels pretty un-American, if you ask me. I think GameStop is a reasonable business. I think what they do is reasonable. And so the fact that they shouldn't be allowed to exist because all of a sudden, we decide that they should be obliterated into the ground.
Well, they should be allowed to exist. They should be allowed to exist at whatever their stock should be valued at based on what their earnings are. And the stock was like
free market
$17, $18 not that long ago.
Who says that? Who says that? Do you want to make the same argument about Tesla? It's gone 10x in a few months. You don't know what it's worth. Let's be honest. Okay?
You don't think that Tesla's growth prospects?
Scott, I have my own model for the company. I'm allowed to underwrite however I want to own it. Everybody that bought that stock is also underwriting how they want to own it. And the point is, just because you're wrong doesn't mean you get to change the rules. Especially when you were wrong, you got bailed out the last time. That's not fair.
Yeah, but does it mean that these investors who were short the stock were necessarily wrong? I mean, I still haven't heard you tell me what the fundamental case is for GameStop at $350 or AMC theaters, which have been closed for months and months and months. Is it worth what the stock's trading at now, or any number of these things? The way that they're trading, there's no fundamental reason why they're there. They're trading because there's this momentum cohort behind it, whether it's on Reddit or Robinhood or wherever else.
But Scott, why is that all of a sudden so wrong to you, this kind of momentum trading? Because, for example, if you look under the hood on every quant strategy, organized, quantitative, strategic hedge funds on Wall Street, those things are all momentum shots.
I love that. Hold.
They trade day over day, massively levered, small swings. So basically what you're saying is, hey, if retail runs a momentum play to squeeze a short, that's wrong. But hey, if Renaissance Technologies and somebody else does it, that's okay. That's what you're saying. You may not know that that's what you're saying, but that's what you're saying. And to me, that feels very unfair.
No. What I'm saying is someone's going to get screwed. Okay? Someone's going to get screwed.
Diarrhea, that's what you're saying.
It's going to be a retail investor who gets screwed because they think that this is the way the game works. That this is the new Wall Street. They're new to this game. Maybe they haven't been in the game that long. Not everybody, not trying to say that in any way, shape, or form. But somebody's going to get hurt. I'm not talking about the billionaire with the big house in the Hamptons. I'm talking about the person who thinks this is cool, fun, and an exciting way to spend their time.
I'm not taking away that there's an element of that, but you're really discounting how smart so many of these people are.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
They
And
think
all I
we're
would
dumb.
encourage you to do is spend a little time in these forums, go into the Discord server, and you're not going to hear a bunch of bros just sloshing around. You're going to hear a bunch of really, really smart people talking about things in fundamental ways.
Chamath, don't tell me that yesterday AMC Entertainment was a $5 stock, and today it's up 170%, and that's justified. Don't tell me that some of these names are justified to being where they are.
It's one company in one moment of time. What I'm saying is
there's like 10 companies, 15 companies, 20 companies.
You're broadly sweeping with a broad brush that says these guys don't know what they're doing and they don't deserve to do what they are doing. And what I'm telling you is there is a small part of momentum, there is a part that's fundamental analysis, and then there's a part that's just sticking it to the man. I'm not taking you away from that. But the reality is it's all allowed in a free market. And all of a sudden, if you start to gate decisions by individual people, all you're going to do is systematically lock in institutional ways of making money for institutional clients, and I don't think that's the solution. If you want to go and address the solution, fix how risk-taking happens at the institutional level, fix the precondition, fix the ability for these stocks to be so massively shorted in the first place, change the business model of funds so that they're not forced to be these small net, highly levered funds, change the leverage ratios. Those are all institutional decisions, but don't all of a sudden look at a short squeeze where money is being made by retail and all of a sudden say, hey, they could and may be the bag holder in the future, so let's make sure that they can never participate in the future. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't say that. I didn't say they shouldn't be
You
able
are
to
saying that.
That's what you said. That's what you said.
I'm not saying they shouldn't be able to participate.
You're saying they should participate on your terms.
No.
On Wall
Chamath
Street's
is too
terms.
smart for
in
you,
a way
Scott.
where they get when Wall Street can have the best of it, they can maybe participate on the side. But then when Wall Street gets the worst of it, their parents, their relatives will just come and bail them out.
Everybody can get screwed, huh?
I'm glad they're participating.
Everybody can get
I'm
screwed.
glad they're making a lot of
reparations,
money.
niggas. They're taking reparations.
A warning sign. There needs to be a hazard sign. All right? There needs to be a hazard sign.
Hazard sign. Where's the hazard sign when Wall Street's taking bet with our fucking money?
For example,
and they get bailed out.
More transparency in the reporting that hedge funds have to make. Every long position, every short position, and all the leverage they're taking every day. Why don't we do that? Then you would have a warning sign.
Man.
You know why? Because people in retail would analyze that stuff so intricately, and we would know where the tripwires were. Okay? The reason why GameStop happened, Scott, was not, again, because of a fundamental disagreement about valuation. It was because of portfolio construction arbitrage. Too much leverage, too much short selling, too many calls, too many put buying. All of that stuff contributed to this dynamic.
Agreed.
That was an institutional dynamic that was created by institutional capital. So if you created transparency in reporting, that probably wouldn't have happened because a regulator would have said, hey guys, I'm not going to let you be short 140% of a company. That's not right. And then you know what would have happened? The squeeze would not have happened.
That's right.
Now, so if you want to fix it, I think you got to go and ask for the same transparency because you can't all of a sudden have your cake and eat it too. Let's have hedge funds operate in the shadows, but let's then basically lambast Wall Street bets because they actually have the courage to write their stuff down publicly where anybody can see it.
I mean, look, my point is that I'm not lambasting anybody. Okay, I'm glad these people are making money. That's the way it should be. That's the way it should be.
Let's face it. No, you're not. Okay, and the person that was on before you, no, she's not, and that's the issue. It's like because the rules are changing underfoot, people don't like that. Now, I'm not saying that there can't be better regulation, okay, and there can't be tighter rules. I get all of that.
Yo, Chamath, run for president, man, or Treasury, Secretary of the Treasury, please. We need a smart man like you.
Now access
please
to all the same information as
this is what we need.
Organized capital, and they will come to many of the same conclusions, sometimes at the same time, oftentimes faster, and sometimes to the opposite conclusion. And sometimes at the same time, sometimes faster. You will see more volatility like this in the future.
I want to see.
Solution. Hold on a second. The solution
he's
to
talking.
this is more transparency on the institution.
Don't interrupt the man.
Not less.
Look at his face. Like, who the fuck are you? Look at that
see the white papers on all of these companies that are flying and all of the deep fundamental research that suggests that all of these stocks, and there are way more than one. This is not one stock, one story. Okay, there are a lot that are fundamentally challenged in this environment, right?
I'm sorry, but how, for example, if we went back to Herbalife, were you supposed to adjudicate that and decide that one short thesis was better than one long thesis? Who are you to judge?
Who are you,
No,
Scott?
that wasn't my job.
Well, whose job then? The regulator's job before they can put the trade on? What are you saying?
Don't come here and tell me that you're suggesting that all of these stocks are up because they're fundamentally in that place.
I'm saying you and I both know that there's a massive distribution of reasons why people buy and sell securities. There's some that are purely value oriented, about backward looking discounted cash flows. Some other people all think about future cash flows, future product innovation, future margin construction. Other people think about momentum. And that is allowed. If you look at hedge funds, there are strategies for any which way you want to play. Some folks only short companies. Some folks only go long companies. Some folks run a totally net neutral strategy. They all exist. And I think what you're seeing is a proliferation of that kind of diverse thinking and risk-taking in retail now. Because before, retail was largely known as long only. And now, for the first time, you're starting to see more sophistication in retail. And I think, again, I'm just predicting the breadcrumbs here, and it could be wrong, is that over time, retail sophistication will catch up to institutional sophistication, that the strategies that exist institutionally will exist on the retail side. And so my point in all of this is, if you want to make the system better and healthier, force more transparency on the institutional side. Gary Gensler should get these guys to be just like what Kathy Wood does in ARK. It's so healthy for the ecosystem. What am I buying?
Kathy Wood is big.
What are my risk limits? Just make it transparent. And these kinds of dislocations may or may not happen in the future, but if it does, it'll be completely transparent, and you will see it coming. Right, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Let me ask you this, because we've gone on for a while. Can you stick? Can you let me take a break and we'll come back?
Oh, you gotta take a break. Oh,
stick around. Let me take a break. I'll come back.
Chamath, you've been kicking his ass. They gotta take a break.